Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bossers Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I am not Corey Dierig. Corey Dierig is still away on special assignment. Hopefully, he's doing okay. We don't know what rock he's hiding under, but hopefully he's all right. But this is the PC Muscle Race. LeRon Dawkins, and I want to welcome you all back to the Bossers Podcast, along with my wonderful co-host. First up, we got the Mad Pharmacist herself, Stephanie Klimov. Hello.
Hi. Sure, he's on a secret assignment. How do we know that you just haven't taken over?
Don't say that.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Don't say that. Then we'll have people thinking I did something to him.
Anyway, love you, Corey. Love you, LeRon, and love
Thank you.
Anyway, hello.
PK Power, backline, do you want to weigh in on if I had something to do with Corey's fate?
Well, I mean, there is that skeleton thing in the closet in the background, so,
like, it's in there with other skeletons that are in my closet that always try to peek out of the closet, but, I slam them back in.
But why does that one have a backwards hat?
What color is the backwards hat?
Orange.
How you guys doing?
Doing all right. Always, a little bit brighter and better when I'm chatting with my friends.
Aw, it's always amazing. But you know what? It doesn't take much for us to get excited about this time of the week, because podcast day, we typically don't even like text each other like good morning on podcast day. We're like, happy podcast day. Like, what are we doing? we sound like the coffee is spiked with all sorts of amphetamines on podcast day morning. So Stephanie, you have a new kitty.
I do. She is constantly in and out, howling, meowing, just annoying everybody in the household right now. My son's trying to sleep. My partner's trying to watch his murder serial killer shows.
What show is he watching right now?
I don't know. It's just a bunch of shows on like the Crime Channel or whatever. But yeah, her name is Midna, after the Twilight Princess. She's got beautiful, sleek black fur, a stubby little tail. She is very affectionate and playful, and loud.
Pat, you know what that means?
Yeah, someone isn't getting much sleep tonight.
No, that wasn't where I was going. I was going to say Zelda's no longer the fresh new hotness in town.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's still pretty fresh and hot.
There's going to be a rivalry between Zelda and Midna here on the Boss Rush podcast.
Ooh, that's it. Take like your best pictures of your two cats, and we're gonna throw it up on Patreon as on a poll. Like which one would you? Hold on, I don't want this to be mean. So what can you do? Cutest kitten just seems way too easy. Which one would you rescue first? Something like that,
Who would win in a fight to the death? Just kidding.
I'm pretty sure that would be Zelda. Zelda's very feisty.
Who has more personality? So I don't know. We've got time to figure it out, because
how about this? Who would win in a fight, a la Tyson and Paul? Style.
Stage fight. Got it.
I got it. If the sequel of Stray featured these two kitties, would you play it?
Yeah.
And it's just a yes, no, or undecided for the poll.
Yes. I love it.
Because I think the only way a sequel to Stray would be awesome is if it features two cats instead of just the one. Because I mean that first cat should learn his lesson by now.
And there are two different cats. Like, you had the orange cat for Stray, so now you get the black cat and the calico cat.
Exactly.
No, even though technically, like, Flo featured a black cat, though, right?
Oh, the movie,
Hello?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I was. I remembered it was. I knew it was a movie, but for some strange reason, I was thinking it was a game. I think it's because the actual artwork makes it feel like it's a video game. Oh, there she is.
There she is. So those are on YouTube. She's made her debut. I'm holding her like a little sausage. Look at her waggling her tail.
Look
Look
at
at the
that
tail. Look
tail.
at the tail.
Look at that tail.
You are so loud right now, Midna.
All right.
On
Daddy.
the first night, I woke up to her taking a big dump on my bed.
On your bed.
On your bed?
Yeah, she took a big shit. Uh,
Not. Wait. How old is she?
she is 5 months old.
5 months
But
old. I thought.
I think
I,
I think
I thought they were
go
litter
ahead.
box trained by that point.
No, she is litter box trained. I think part of it was her diet transition and being in a new environment.
Oh, okay. That
Because
sucks.
since then, knock on wood, she has been in the litter box.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm. Wow, we always dread hairballs when we should be dreading like poop balls.
Poop balls. Poop balls.
Yeah. All the time I've had Zelda, she's never had a hairball.
That's good. That means you have her
Yeah.
on a really good diet, and she doesn't do a lot of dander.
Oh,
There you
well, that's cool.
Either that, or she has a tongue smoother than Teflon.
go.
Yeah, she does.
you know what? We're done with this topic. If you want to support the Boss Rush
She's
podcast, go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Subscribing to tiers on our Patreon can grant you perks like the new exclusive content, early access to Boss Rush After Dark, and much more. As always, though, your viewership and listenership are enough for us. So please subscribe to the Boss Rush Network on YouTube. And if you're watching this video right now, please give it a like. If you listen to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or even if you don't, swing by there, leave us a rating, a nice review on either of those platforms, or both. What's a little bit of plagiarism going to do? Except make us better. You can find all of our banters, features, listicles, reviews, and much more over on our website, which is bossrush.net. Did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. No, I didn't miss anything. I mean, we missed Corey. Like Corey, hurry
Yes.
back, hurry back. You're integral here.
Mhm.
Is there anything you guys got going on that you guys want to just talk about real quickly?
mm,
No,
just usual
no.
book club stuff.
Uh
But there's nothing. It's still kind of the same stuff right now. So we still have Life is Strange is the free one this month, and Space for the Unbound is the Patreon one. And Taylor and I are going to be recording the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom here in a couple days with our
nice.
friend from the Zelda universe, Amanda. So
Tell Taylor I said hello.
will.
All right, Stephanie, do you have anything? Do you have anything going on?
Nothing going on at the moment. Stay tuned.
All right. I don't have anything going on either, but but a second and third round, the Monster Hunter Wilds beta is right around the corner, and I'm going to try to actually record gameplay content of this one because that's something I didn't have a chance to do with the last run through of the open beta. So yeah, be on the lookout for that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/exodus803, and we'll see what happens. Like you might even see some shenanigans because like I'm still trying to learn all the nuances of the new weapons while still trying to translate them from the old weapons from Monster Hunter World. So there's
I
that.
like shenanigans.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So guys, I have a topic for us tonight, and I feel like if well, number one, let me just go ahead and put it this way: if you are a subscriber to our Patreon, then you've already seen part basically the unofficial part one to this conversation tonight. So please, like, if you're interested in what's going on over on the pre-show, then please head over to bossrush.com/Patreon. I'm sorry, not bossrush.com. So patreon.com slash Boss Rush Network, and check out our conversation about video games and franchises that we fell in love with over time and stuff like that. Because tonight we're talking on the Boss Rush podcast, we're talking about the love of gaming, and basically we all have them. We have our favorite style or genres of games that we always gravitate toward, no matter how deep or how shallow they may be. As gamers, we cultivate our taste for gaming to ensure that we always are entertained and have something to look forward to. You know, like we love the shiny hope of like a new release around the horizon, especially when it's our favorite franchise or series and stuff like that. But our favorite genre of games is, by extension, our gaming personality. You know how they say like Disney's not a personality for an adult, or Star Trek's not a personality for a sci-fi fan and stuff like that. I'm sorry, our favorite genre of games is basically our personality for who we are as gamers. Because let's be honest with us, a lot of us, we don't snub games that aren't our favorite genre of game, but we always like, you play that. you know. So tonight we will discuss what is our favorite gaming genre and when did we fall in love with it. You know what, I'm gonna pick on Corey because he's not here. His favorite genre of game is Disney.
Pretty much. Yep.
His favorite genre is D. Just D. Disney and Destiny.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
You're gonna get
Disney and Destiny.
hmm
okay. Nice
Corey,
recovery.
Corey,
Nice recovery.
Corey really loves the D.
He does.
All right, for once, Corey, I'm not the one that's doing it to you. So there you go.
hmm
but
Can't get
Pat,
enough
since
of
you
it.
but Pat, since you started the conversation, why don't you go first? What's your favorite gaming genre?
Well, what do you think my favorite gaming genre is? I'll let you guys take
Well,
a guess.
Let me guess.
well,
Fighting games.
Totally,
First
no,
person
no,
shooter.
no,
totally.
no.
I
It's
love the
what's that?
fighting.
What's that genre of game like? What's that genre that games like Don't Starve, belong to? What is that? Is that the survival
Uh,
sim or something like that?
yeah, that's probably also a roguelike. Yeah,
Okay,
that's definitely not it. No.
I didn't think it
I
was. We were trying to like we're basically the meme like what is this? Wrong answers only.
Yeah, it is not just a
exactly.
roguelike, but a deck building roguelike.
Oh yeah.
hmm No, my favorite genre is, of course, the JRPG. And I would say I got introduced to this in the Super Nintendo era with games like Breath of Fire, Final Fantasy VI, or 3 back in the day, were two of the ones that really pushed it. Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger. Like, these games brought my attention and brought my love for the JRPG genre. I loved the colorful worlds that each one envisioned. I loved the story that these characters had. Um, I liked. I love the music. The music's definitely one of the things that I fell in love with a lot of these original games. Like the soundtrack to Chrono Trigger is still like one of the greatest soundtracks out there. Even like the 16-bit version is good. But like Final Fantasy VI, amazing songs to that. The Opera House song is still like my favorite Final Fantasy song of all time. Still, um, but yeah, it's strange though. Like I would definitely say Breath of Fire was the one that really started it though. One day my dad came home with like a bunch of video games that he got from like a coworker, and one of them was Breath of Fire, and I remember playing it and like seeing it was different. Like you had, I think it was definitely the colors that pop, like made it pop, but you played as a person who is of a dragon tribe, and you're going around, like each town had its own problem that you had to solve. And then you moved on to the next town, which also had a problem that needed to be solved. And eventually, like the bad guys all of a sudden we're no longer like humanoid bad guys. They all started like transforming into some creature, and like there's all these different other creature tribes, and I just thought it was like one of the coolest things. And also like how the battle system was kind of at like a 3/4 angle rather than like facing directly in front of you or facing directly horizontal of you. Like it was like strange, like it was a different angle, and I liked it a lot. I would say that
I
was definitely one
remember
of the
Breath
biggest
of Fire.
draws.
It was it was one of my Breath of Fire was one of my favorite like RPG series, back in the day too. I didn't actually get on Breath of Fire until Breath of Fire 2, technically.
That
But
was a good one too.
But I didn't take Breath of Fire seriously until Breath of Fire 3. Uh,
Mhm.
so I have a question for you real quickly. Refresh my history real fast. Were the warrants actually in the first Breath of Fire?
Who?
The cat tiger people.
No, that was second one
Oh, okay, they
where
introduced
they
the second
started.
one. Okay, because
Yep.
honestly, that's what drew me into it. Like when I saw when I saw like the artwork for the warrant species, I was like, oh my god, like I need to play this. Maybe it was like I was
No.
just trying to live a Thundercats thing. But yeah.
Number two brought in a lot of species, a
Mhm.
lot of different ones. Like the first one had the wolf people, the gobies, um,
The
of course,
fairies were the fairies were in there, right? The first one.
they were
When I say the
fairies.
fairy
Yeah.
people, I'm thinking like Alina from Breath of Fire 4. Breath of Fire 4 is the most memorable one for me, by the way.
Mhm. Yeah. No. They had fairies, but I don't think they were like fairy people.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were winged like sylph
Oh,
type people. Like you couldn't help but call them fairies. But I knew they were. I knew that wasn't their name. Like the name of the species.
you mean like Nina and the winged
Yes,
people?
yes.
Okay, Nina. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. The winged tribe has been in every single one of them, and every
Okay,
single
okay.
one has had a character named Nina,
That's
just like
right.
all the
As a matter
heroes
of
were
fact, that was
named
the thing.
Ryu.
There was always a Nina and there was always a Ryu.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Those were good games.
So
You get
would
another
you
Breath of
point to Breath
Fire.
of Fire as when you fell in love with JRPGs, or was there legit like a time when it was like, okay, this is my genre and you can't fight me on it.
Breath of Fire definitely was one of the things that pointed. I think it was a combination of Breath of Fire, Final Fantasy VI,
Hmm.
was another one that because I played Final Fantasy 2 before that, and I really wasn't much of a fan of that one
Yeah,
at that time.
I wasn't feeling that one either. Like
But
it was Final
six,
Fantasy 6 for me.
yeah, six was something just special. Um, and so that one definitely cemented. I think that was like one of the first ones I really like focused on and actually beat, and without a use of a guide back then too. So
Hmm.
back then we didn't have the internet that we could look things up. Uh, we had strategy guides, and those things cost a lot of money.
You
And I
damn
was a
right.
kid, and I did not have that money. But yep. But that was what started my love for the JRPG. I still absolutely love it. Like I've now gone into so many different JRPG series. Probably the most recent one that I've fallen in love with is the Legend of Heroes: The Trails of series. It is what I consider still like good old classic JRPG. If anyone like wants a good classic JRPG, but with a modern style. Otherwise, you got your Persona series and Metaphor. Metaphor actually went into more of a hybrid from like classic turn based, and now it also has action based as well. So it's kind of interesting the direction that took. But truth be told, I like Persona better than I like Metaphor, so I'd say go that route. Or play one of the 2D HD remakes or games that Square came out with, like the Octopath series is a great one. that yeah. So that's where my love of RPGs came from.
All right, awesome.
Aw.
Awesome. Stephanie, you go next, please.
Oh, this is gonna be such like a vanilla answer, but speaking of
Come on.
gaming
Come on.
gaming
Don't sell yourself that
personalities,
short.
shout
Vanilla
out
is a
to
great
the
flavor.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the Crit Rate folks because, and if you check out their website, they have like a quiz where you figure out what gaming house you're in and it describes your gaming personality. So it's critrate.io. I'm a Curionaut. We love adventure, building, exploring, discovery, immersing themselves in the story. We like to experiment with things and we prefer slow paced gameplay, which is pretty true. So, if you tune into the pre-show as a Patreon, I talk a lot about Zelda, and Ocarina of Time was my gateway game into video gaming. And it's an action adventure game, right? With fantasy and story, albeit a simple one. And I've loved Zelda throughout the years, pretty much for the most part. And then I started playing games like Red Dead 2, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us. You would call them kind of action adventure-y games, right? More or less.
Hmm
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind
Oh,
of
the open world games.
yeah, my bread and butter. I love just being able to have that sense of adventure and explore things. So that's just that's kind of it.
I could ask more on this. um, so what is your end all be all for action adventure games? Is it The Legend of Zelda? And if it is Legend of Zelda, which one specifically?
It might still just be The Legend of Zelda. Um, Goodness gracious. I mean, Ocarina of Time might still be it because I still go back and play it once in a while,
Mhm.
but it could really be interchanged with most of them. Like, I can go back and play, um, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Echoes of Wisdom. I'm happy to hop back in and play any of those. And there's still a bunch that I haven't gotten back to, especially the top-down Zeldas, and I really wanna be able to check that off my list. Like, I wanna play the Oracle games. I wanna finish Minish Cap. I started but never finished it. I like the 2D Zeldas just as much as I love the 3Ds. I mean, maybe I favor 3D a little bit more just 'cause of Ocarina of Time, but, especially getting back to Echoes, which, it had some of the newer Zelda, elements in there, but they've incorporated a lot of the traditional Zelda, and I think it's a wonderful hybrid. And top down's a lot of fun for me as well.
Awesome, awesome. All right.
All
Is it
right,
my turn
LeRon.
now?
Is it Monster Hunter?
No, it's not.
Mhm.
Actually, Monster Hunter is probably my all-time favorite franchise series. But actually, the my absolute love is music and rhythm games. Like, as a matter of fact, as we're talking right now, in my headphones, I'm actually listening to a video game soundtrack. Uh, uh,
Doing that? How are you doing
huh?
that, and, like, how are you doing that and being focused?
Oh, it's part of my ADD, attributes.
Mhm,
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people. Absolute silence like drives me crazy. But
mm.
yeah, if you guys must know, I'm listening to DDR Max 2 soundtrack, so Dance Dance Revolution. But yeah, like I've always loved video game music. Chip tune way back in the days of NES games and stuff like that. Up until now, where basically it's real music in the video games now. Real music meaning like actual instruments being played and stuff like that. But yeah, but then like when so real quick, here's some trivia for you real quickly. Dance Aerobics, which was released in '87 on the NES. You played it with the Nintendo's Power Pad. That was basically considered the first rhythm action game. But it wasn't until a little game on PlayStation 1 called Parappa the Rapper that was credited as being the first rhythm game. And yeah, I was there and played that, and I was like, holy shit, what is this? Yeah. So, and then of course, like eventually, like Busta Groove came out, then Dance Dance Revolution and all this stuff. But yeah, like at the core of it all, like like I love video game soundtracks. So of course, and then you have the interactive element of actually being with the music. Once these rhythm games came out, and I was like, how can I slight this? I can name off the top of my head like some of my favorite all time favorite like video game soundtracks. Most of the Dance Dance Revolution stuff, of course, is in there, but like some of the other ones like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, one of my favorite soundtracks. The Chrono Trigger original soundtrack, another one of my favorites. The Einhander soundtrack, another like I play I play that to death. And there's so many more out there, but like once we got a Dance Dance Revolution, that was something different because like I love rhythm games, but the first time I saw one of these cabinets, I saw people playing it, and I was like, "There's no way in hell you're gonna catch me jumping up and down with one of these damn things, looking like an idiot." Sure enough, I started playing, and it became a thing. It actually became a thing that helped me lose 70 pounds at one point. But
Holy
yeah,
smokes.
It's
yeah.
a workout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I loved it. But now, but I'm at a point now, like where I'm like Batman. I'm getting old and slow. So like
Oh god.
I can't keep up on the same level I used to. Now it's just like it's a workout now. It's work. It's all that. But yeah, music rhythm games and like I. If it wasn't for the fact that I have like really bad astigmatism, of course, I would have gotten an Oculus to play Beat Saber. I played Beat Saber quite a few times whenever I'm at a friend's house and they have it, and my eyes just start bugging out after a while because like the astigmatism. I have a focusing thing that's always going on. It's like both eyes are always vying for perfect vision and stuff like that. So I can only play it in like spurts and stuff like that. But yeah, I would have had Beat Saber in every damn song pack. If I could just put up with VR.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, like yeah, I was let me see, DJ Hero, Guitar Hero. I didn't like Rock Band, even though Rock Band had wonderful music, given that it was all licensed music and stuff like that. I didn't like Rock Band because there was way too many elements going on. Like to actually get the full experience, you needed the full Rock Band, like all the peripherals and all that stuff. Like it just didn't work right. If you just had the drums or if you had the guitar. Like for me. For me, I'm not saying how it is for everybody else because I know like a lot of people got Rock Band, got the guitar, and all they did was just because like apparently the guitar song packs was the most expansive one compared to like the other instruments in Rock Band and stuff like that. So I get it. Like, and then of course like what was the actual guitar genre that was spun off of that? Like it was a
It was.
series of games.
Are you talking about the actual real life guitar teaching
Yeah,
method or
yeah.
Guitar Smith?
Thank
Guitar
you,
Smith by
thank you. I couldn't.
Ubisoft.
But because at that point I was like, this is way too out there for me. I'm just gonna keep it simple and keep it fun and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
Guitar Smith
Konami.
actually teaches you how to play a guitar.
That is true. That is true. Konami also had their thing because you thought Konami just had Dance Dance Revolution, but they had Beat Mania, which is basically like a DJ simulator. Which, man, so many iterations of Beatmania. Like I had to mod a PlayStation just to import like all these games. I even bought the fancy ass fucking controller and all that, the controller and all that stuff. Um but the Bimani series of rhythm games, not only did you just have like Dance Dance Revolution and Beatmania, you had this thing called Poppin' Music, which was supposed to be like a kid friendly version of it, where basically like you had it looked like it kind of looked like like one of those apparatus controllers. It had bubbles and stuff, and basically on the screen, like like just think how DDR, like the arrows come up from the bottom, and when they hit a certain point in the zone, like you're supposed to step on the arrows. Pop in music, the bubbles came down, and you had to hit the corresponding bubbles on the controller. But it was this game was really for kids, but trust me, there's no kid that can play like those top level. Adults just took that one over. You had Keyboard Mania. Keyboard Mania. They only had two games in that series, but Keyboard Mania that actually taught you how to play the piano. and it was fun. Some of the best music I got incorporated into Dance Dance Revolution, Poppin' Music, and Beatmania 2DX all came from Keyboard Mania. You had Guitar Freaks and Drum Mania, guitar, drums. Konami had a line going on. Like, I mean, and I believe this is where, like, Activision, like, was like, hey, we can get a piece of that pie and stuff like that. And that's where we got like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, and all those games and stuff like that. Which I'm not saying anything's bad about those, because, like, man, I had a lot of fun playing Guitar Hero until the Fire and Flames happened, and I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Y'all are doing too much. Yeah.
That's intense.
My bad. I'm being such a fucking nerd about music and rhythm games, but it's a thing. And, like, yeah, like, I cannot walk past a DDR machine and not, like, run to an ATM and pull out some money just so I can get some quarters and play the damn thing. So yeah, like, that's my thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can hear the passion in your voice, how you get really excited about it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a dweeb.
Ron, we're all dweebs.
Mm-hmm. I'm a nerd.
So when did I fall in love with the music rhythm game genres? I want to say I was always in love with it because, like I said, I love video game music. But I think it took off for me when Parappa the Rapper and some of those other PS1 games came out, like Unjammer Lammy. Of course, when Dance Dance Revolution got onto the scene, of course. But Buster Groove is also great. But I feel like Buster Groove indoctrinated people to Dance Dance Revolution, if I'm being honest. But that's about the time I fell in love with it. And I have not fallen out of love with it. Like, I have so many video game soundtracks, and that includes, like, like the Monster Hunter soundtracks, which I've made my own playlist of, like, some of the most epic songs, and in that, and of course, shout out to the Namco sound department, because every single fucking Tekken soundtrack since Tekken 3 has just been bangers. Yeah.
If you like
So,
music and rhythm games, does that mean that you partake in Just Dance every year?
okay. Um, I respect Just Dance, but I cannot play it. What I mean is, like, I'm not one of those people where like every new iteration of Just Dance happens. If I'm at someone's house, though, and they have Just Dance, I will pick up Joy Cons or whatever the preferred controller is, and do it because I love the dance. And also anyone that knows anything about Just Dance, like, most of those dances are actual, real, credible dancers that people have done and stuff like that. If you doubt me, just watch Rihanna's "Where Have You Been" video, and then watch the Just Dance version of "Where Have You Been."
I want to see LeRon dance. I think he's got some smooth
Hey,
moves.
maybe at PAX.
Mhm.
Did you
By the
just
way, I love the
confirm?
dance. I love the dance, and it doesn't take much. Like, get a couple of drinks in me, you get tipsy, and I start hearing, like, really good music. I'm be out there on the dance floor.
All right, Pat, write that down. Write that down.
That does not mean get me slobbered.
No, no, no. We don't want to
Oh,
carry you. I'm not that
that's the
strong.
first
Because
sign of
I'm a
fat
heavy
right
guy.
there.
And trust me, at 6'3", 250 plus pounds, like, when I'm dead weight. so
I was
so
gonna
yeah.
say I would throw my back out. So
I'll just watch you guys make fools of yourselves.
Oh, whatever. Oh, this is the guy. This is the guy we got to spike, like him.
Good luck doing that.
And whisper in his ear, "Do the dance of your people," and just push him out there.
yes.
Does anyone have anything to add? Like, is there like a second genre or anything? Because I feel like we kind of burnt through that. I can volunteer simulation games. Another thing that gets me hot and bothered is games like SimCity, Civilization, stuff like that. I don't play enough of them in this day and age because I feel like there is an investment to be done in those games now. But yeah, like, and I really wish City Skylines has still not been fixed. City Skylines 2 still has not been fixed, but I love those type of games too. Similarly, like SimCity, like I played the last SimCity until they shut the servers down. Like, I mean, like I was sitting up there. I'd even found ways to like cheat the system and have like because you could only be in one region basically because like SimCity was that SimCity game you had four regions you could do, and each region had their own specialty. Like one region could do like actual like astronomy. Another region can do like geoforming, basically, where basically you are redoing how the land is. There was another one had like the airfields and airports and all that stuff. I found a way to cheat. I found a way to cheat the system and be able to have all that on a server, on my one server, and be able to do it all. So basically, I was managing four regions of the world in SimCity and stuff like that. And then was being frantic about the fact that, oh shit, an earthquake just happened in this one zone, and now I gotta go over there and put investment into that, even though technically it's supposed to be four different people playing their own regions and managing it all together at once. Yeah. Like I said, I played that, and I really don't know how EA fucked that SimCity game up, because up until then, SimCity 2000 was the game to play,
Mm.
and then that one came out, and man, like it was just a phenomenal time for that 2 years that was running.
Nice.
Hmm.
Um, it's not a genre. Clearly, it's not a genre. But if the next thing I could think of is more of a label, and that's indie games, because if it's an indie game, I am more likely to play it regardless of the genre that it is. So it could be a deck building roguelike, two things that I just don't really dabble in at all, but I will gravitate toward it if it's indie. And I think the attraction behind the indie quote unquote label is the fact that because they are made by a smaller team, they are more likely to have more creative gameplay, more creative art style, more creative story. So I feel that I would enjoy a video game regardless of genre if it is more creative, more unique, because I'm in it for the experience, and kind of like how I feel about with music, because I can appreciate anything from rap to pop to whatever as long as the quality is there. And I do feel that indie devs bring something to the table that I will automatically be interested if I know it's an indie developed game.
All right, awesome. Yeah. Pat, do you have another one you want to throw into the mix?
Yeah, 3D platformers.
Ooh, yes.
I would say my love for 3D platformers started with the PS2 era. Because believe it
Mm,
or not, the original Crash Bandicoot and Mario 64 definitely did not get me into 3D platforming. It might have actually turned me off on 3D platforming initially.
I can
Uh,
understand. I can understand that because the first Crash Bandicoot game was the most frustrating game out there. It was fun, but it was frustrating as fuck.
hmm However, the PS2 era started getting some good ones out there. Like Crash 3, in my opinion, that was actually a PS1 game, but there were a couple of PS2 games. There was the Tax series, Tax and the
Mhm.
Power of Juju.
And Power of Juju.
Um, yep. There was the Sly Cooper series, which
I knew you were going to name
really,
that one.
yeah, Sly One. Believe it or not really a fan of Sly One, but Sly Two was definitely like top quality 2D platforming. And then I tried things like Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter.
Hmm.
Like
Mm,
I loved like how they each had like these like biome kind of worlds where you then kind of branched off into other like level spot the hub and spoke level or design, I guess is what it's called, where you have the hub level and then each like level kind of branched out from that. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the trifecta, which is Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, and Sly Cooper, because I feel like that's when like it came into its own. Like it well, not came into its own per se, but more like that's when like 3D platformers like finally like hit the map to where like everybody wanted them, everybody wanted to play them and stuff like that. You know, and also like platformers is I think platformers is part of the original DNA of like most gaming anyway. I mean, like hell, you heard it yourself on the Game Awards. Team Asobi did a shout out to like Nintendo and Super Mario and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and what we have now with games like Astrobot, for example, that's all just an evolution of like platforming and the 3D platforming genre.
And Astrobot is kind of a shining example that we can still have fun, fresh 3D platformers in the modern age if
Yeah,
people are creative enough.
that aren't Mario Party, because Mario Party is a 3D platforming game, but like that causes families to
Yeah.
break up.
Yeah. And friendships burn in a fire.
Yeah. Oh boy. This was a very fun topic.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad we wanted to do this tonight. Like I mean, we can talk all night about this and not be bored of it. But I just want to go ahead and extend it out to our listeners and viewers out there. Like please like sound off in the comments, hit us up on our Discord. Let us know what your favorite gaming genre is, and also tell us when you fell in love with it. We don't just want to hear like like it's tactical RPGs or it's what's one of those really obscure besides roguelikes, what's one of those really obscure genres? Oh, like what's
Souls, like
huh? Which
Souls
ones?
games? Souls
Well,
like?
okay, Souls is its own damn monster. Infinity Nikki, what genre is that?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
gotcha.
it is gotcha. It is gotcha, but I don't know. It's like a pretty simulator, I think.
Mm, no, it's pretty much an open world platformer with the gotcha system.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, please like sound off wherever you want to get in contact with us at. Let us know what your favorite gaming genre is. We'd love to hear from you and probably retouch on this topic in a future episode and stuff like that. We're gonna go ahead and move on because we got banter to talk about this week. Now, if you don't know, just head over to Boss Rush. If you head over to bossrush.net, right in the header page, you'll see a drop down that will feature the Boss Rush banners. It's in the features column, so just head over there and check it out. We want to do a shout out to one of our contributors, Sam Reeder, for his I should start saying they, because like you never know sometimes on the internet. And I haven't actually met Sam, so I can't say specifically for sure. Sam is a he or a she. So I should start. I need to do they them more unless until someone turns around and sends me a DM or something like hey, like I'm a he him or she her. But yeah, Sam Reeder brings us this wonderful banner, which is actually featured yesterday on the BossRush.net. How much pre-release is too much? Okay,
Mhm.
and the quick little subheading is, while there's no easy answer for how to handle this, it's clear that the current state of affairs in early access is something that must change. Okay, so I'm just gonna read it. I'm just gonna read an excerpt of the first paragraph from his from their article, and then we'll hit some talking points on this one. All right, so the article starts off: for every game that's a success story, particularly Cades of Quood taking a month shy of a decade to release its phenomenally bizarre take on old school roguelike adventures, for example, there are three more that just get abandoned. These include the likes of the experimental FPS Fancy Skulls, or the perpetually in development games that never quite reached 1.0 status. Sure, it's a way to invite people into the process, get real time player feedback on your game, and generate bug reports quickly. But the gestation process is just as often a way to get an unfinished product into the storefront as a way to use the service as intended. Some games even go up without a release date just to generate wish listing and demand, with a soon and a couple of images purporting to be in game. It's frustrating to say the least, and it's just one of those state of affairs that has us wondering, Where do we draw the line?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I really like that topic. Like very, I don't know, just it's got a lot of substance and conversation behind it. Hope you don't mind. I'm just gonna, quickly jump in and say, I don't
Yeah.
have a lot of experience, sorry, with playing early access
Mhm.
games of the like, but I can
You weren't on the
understand that.
Hades 2 train?
Mm,
No, I wasn't. Not,
same.
you know, not out of because of that or anything. I just was like, oh, well, it's still yet to come out. Um, I never really, I'm pretty like new to this, this idea of early access, because that's mostly what on like PC, right?
For the
Steam.
most part, it's usually PC. Every now and then, we'll find early access games on Xbox or on Game Pass, particularly, or on the PlayStation Network, or sometimes on the eShop. I think the eShop though, like they're basically like free to play, which kind of deters, like, a lot of developers from going the early access route on the Nintendo side, which I think is probably a good and a bad thing at the same time. But for the most part, they're usually in the PC environment. Like
Hmm.
example, I use Hades example. Both the original Hades and Hades 2. Hades, of course, got a full official release. I think Hades was actually in pre-release status for almost 3 years before, like, it officially dropped. And then Hades 2, what? We're on our second year of Hades 2 right now, Pat. Am I right?
Yeah, it came out early. I want to say January, February last year was the early access.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
And there's still no official 1.0 version of that game as of this recording right now. Some other popular games that also had early access pre-release, PUBG. um what's that one? There's this one really good shooter that's on Steam right now. Maybe it's in my wish list. I'll pull it up in a second. But it's in pre-release, and the hook for this, from the actual devs, is that they, crap. I'm gonna screw it up. Crap. I'm gonna screw up the explanation for it. And I'm trying to find it right now. Um, what is it? What is it? It's not Mecha Break. I'm looking in my the forever winner. The forever winner. That's it. In the in this, okay, so it's early access. It's available right now for early access, if you, for $30. And the developer made a promise that once it's out for release, that price is not changing. So it'll still be a $30 game, and everyone who's been there from the beginning, any part of early access, is going to get everything that's in it. But yeah, like, the Forever Winter early access. I'm trying to find the line specifically, because, like, I actually watched, like the deep dive video that the developer did for it, and crap, I don't see it in the description. I don't want to watch the video right now. But basically, it's a looter shooter. And it's sci-fi. So think similar to, like, games like Stalker and stuff like that. But yeah, like, this developer, like, you know I've this is early access done right, because, like, there's no additional cost. Like, even Hades had an additional cost when it finally released, stuff like that. But yeah, uh so I guess one of the benefits of early access, for any developers, is, like, early access allows smaller creators to generate interest and gather player feedback, which aids all in refining their games. And besides Caves of Quood, which Sam Reeder, like, pointed out, Stardew Valley is another one that, like, got great success because of, like early access, feedback generation and stuff like that. And another game called Dwarf Fortress. um Let me see. Now, here's something interesting: the challenges and abuses of the early access model. Uh, and we've seen this. We're all seasoned gamers here in this podcast. Some developers misuse early access by releasing unfinished products or failing to provide timely updates, leading to player frustration. For example, like, Kickstarters. Kickstarters are great, for the morality and what they are on paper and stuff like that. But for every one Kickstarter that like pops up brand new, there's like probably 8 Kickstarters that just never live up to their promises or never get completed. Even when they make their Kickstarter project, they make their funding, or at least they're funding for their first round and stuff like that. Um, in Sam's article, it was also quoted that World of Horror is an example where significant delays and lack of communication caused all sorts of issues with their player base. And apparently, there's a player base out there for these games and stuff like that. So it's it can get really frustrating really fast to like have interest and get hyped for a game, and then the game just either never comes out or never gets polished.
Yeah, quick question, but for Kickstarter, isn't it if it doesn't get fully funded, people who do contribute, they get their money back,
They get their
right?
money back. Yes, yeah.
And then for those that actually meet the quota or meet their, whatever, don't they have like some sort of like legal or contractual obligation to fulfill, or else
Yeah,
they get their money
they
back?
do. They do. I'm being a little, not dense is the right word. I guess I'm being a little uh, I'm not being eloquent about it because yeah, most Kickstarters usually wind up, like in restorations to the people who actually went into them or things like that, like it's kind of like a pipeline to becoming a shareholder in like the games and the development
Right.
cycles and stuff like that.
No, it's okay. I only asked that because no, I don't think there's going to be a true solution to this issue because the
Yeah.
can of worms has been opened. But I feel that early access should be treated a lot like how Kickstarter is because it's not a true release. And if people are paying money to play this, I think there needs to be a little bit of liability or responsibility put on the creators. And you know what? If they can't seem to finish it, that's fine, but you need to provide the financial backing back to the player unless you can fully execute and deliver on your promise.
I'm glad you said that because another talking point I kind of got out of this is like the transparency and development timelines that go into stuff like this. Like Sam's article raises the question of how much pre-release information is actually appropriate, suggesting that while transparency is valuable, excessive pre-release content without substantial progress can be very detrimental to all these projects and stuff like that. It's kind of like why we get frustrated, like the new Mass Effect project that got announced what 4 years ago, you know
Long
and
time.
it's and like it's sad because like, and this is from a triple A developer with backing from a triple A publishing company and stuff like that. We what we've gotten for the new Mass Effect project is not even comparable to a drip feed and stuff like that.
Mhm.
We get triple A titles that are announced like years ahead of like when they're supposed to release, and then like sometimes by the time we actually get a release date, like we've already forgotten about it or forgotten enough about it that we have to regenerate our own hype for it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Pat, you've been a little quiet. Are we hitting all the
Uh,
points, or
yeah,
are we stifling you before you can get them out?
no, you're hitting all the points all right. I don't really have a whole lot of experience with early access. I will say there was recently a game that I wanted to try that came out in early access, but it's supposed to be a free to play game. However, to get the early access, you have to pay $30 for the game.
Mm.
So it to me that just kind of like, well,
Thank
I,
you.
that's not something I really want to do. So I'm just gonna wait until the actual game comes out and then play for free.
I'm glad you pointed that out too, because there are quite a few games. As a matter of fact, there. Here's another thing. Like and a lot of games as a service. Think Concord, Suicide Squad, and stuff like that. Like they hid I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna say they hid like like release structure behind the pre-release because like in all seriousness, this is the way I look at it. If a game has an early access that you had to pre-order for the early access, then if the early access is like a week early, then in my opinion, that's the actual release date of the game. I don't like I've always been like this is the date they want to release the game, but they need the money to make sure like they could be able to maintain the server load to fix the stuff behind the screen, which is why like like day one patches for early access games don't happen until the actual day of the release date. I don't think people realize that. Um, but yeah, and sometimes these you can only get into early access by pre-ordering the game, and I'm not talking about just going down to GameStop and putting $5 on it. You can't get early access that way. You have to pay for the full game, or whatever the generated price is for the MSRP for the game is to get early access, and stuff like that. It's just really weird, and the final talking point that I got from this article is like it has an impact on player trust and market saturation, because like there are a lot more incomplete games,
Yep.
in like since let's
Mhm.
just I'm gonna use COVID for example, but I know like maybe like 5-10 years before COVID, there was stuff like this because like here's a game that was in Kickstarter. It's infamous, Mighty Number Nine.
Ooh.
Mighty Number Nine, and like the prevalence of incomplete or abandoned early access games, that ultimately erodes player trust and can clutter digital storefronts. Like how many times you have like I was just on Steam and I went through my wish list and I saw 7 games that were on pre-release status and had no announced release date. And the sad part is they've been in my wish list for years.
Mm.
Yeah. And like and ultimately it just makes it difficult for quality games to just stand out, because like you got this flashy thing here, you got this shiny thing here, and
Well,
that's all
it's
I can do is
interesting
throw my hands
because
up.
if you think about any other, oh, big stretch, Midna, any other entertainment medium, like, do we ever see pre-release books? Do we ever see pre-release shows? Do we ever see pre-release movies? I mean, this is kind of the only one that
Release
treats us like,
movie.
right? The
Woo!
wild, wild west here. And
That
I'm
would be
not
a
saying
horrible
that,
watch, I think.
Oh
right?
my god, man, Hollywood would be in Hollywood would be in so much trouble if there was pre-release movies. But then again, I
One
think of
might
movies like
guess.
Joker Folie à Deux, that probably could have stood for pre-release.
Yeah, so like, and I'm not saying all that to say that video games and the gaming industry should never have any sort of pre-release, but like, if you look at it's just an interesting observation. That's really kind of the only quote unquote entertainment sector that has that, and
For real.
I feel like it does have its place. I just wish that there was a better means of kind of I don't know if regulating is the right word because I kind of feel iffy on the what regulation can mean, but for lack of better words, because words are hard.
They really are.
Yeah. Yeah. So ultimately, I don't know. Like, I think the final thought here is that like with all the talking points that I just mentioned and stuff that we talked about, like, it just highlights the need for a balanced approach to early access in the gaming industry,
Mhm.
and it's a way of ensuring that it serves both the developers and the players effectively and stuff like that. The last thing you want to do is like for example, like let's think of Concord. Now, the Concord was a game that was actually backed by like AAA studio, AAA production, AAA publisher, and stuff like that. Concord fell on its face right out the gate and stuff like that. And this is after having like an open beta where actual fans and feedback actually were fans put their feedback in, and I was like, hey, you might want to let this cook at least another month or two and stuff like that. And where we are, of course, like Firewalk Studio, they're even though their talent's no longer with Sony, like they're going to get picked up for work somewhere else and stuff like that. But if that's a company that if that's a developer that had like that type of backing and they still failed, but it was all because like shareholders and stuff like that. For developers that are are this is not an insult, so don't think it is. But for developers who are no names, just trying to get it out there and stuff like that, I feel like sometimes like the onus is on you to make sure that like there's good proper communication. Let people know when something's going on, because like we have AAA studios that do that song and dance and give us the runaround. And if we can easily hate Activision, EA, Bungie, and all these other studios, like trust me, gamers will hate you like in an instant. For the smallest slight. And I know it's unfair because like you probably don't have the same pedigree as like BioWare, or like Capcom. Capcom's weird because like Capcom has like really weird names, for their development teams and stuff like that. If it's not something like Clover, which they're back. If you hadn't seen the Game Awards, Clover Studio is back. But like if we can nail like Platinum Games to the cross, Naughty Dog to the cross, Santa Monica Studio to the cross, like we're gonna nail like a brand new like wet behind the ears developing team out there, and we're not trying to do it on purpose. Guys, any final thoughts?
No,
I think we fit it.
yeah, but this
We
was a
put that
great
to bed.
discussion. I recommend anyone swing by bossrush.net and check out Sam's article.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely worth it. I read it and I had to read it again just because of the impact it hit me on the first time. So yeah, definitely head over to bossrush.net, head over to the Boss Rush banners, check out the January 13th Boss Rush banner. How Much Pre-Release is Too Much by Sam Reeder. You will enjoy it, and please come back to us, whether you're watching us or listening to us. Sound off in the comments. Let us know what you think about it. Even give us your thoughts. I mean, like we're all gamers. We're all fans of like this revolution, because like if you talk to some people who are older than us, like like it's a thing that we should have outgrown a long time ago. But hey, it's a reason why we come to the Boss Rush podcast to talk about this stuff. So we'd love to hear more from you. So definitely hit us up. We're gonna go ahead and talk about what we've been playing this past week. As you guys know, like we basically like list off like all the games that we've been playing or stuff that we've been trying out and stuff like that. And I'm gonna let Stephanie go first, because Stephanie's been very verbal in our text chat about one of the games she's been playing, because it's just fucking out there.
Oh, you mean talking about the only one game that I've been playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mother 3. I thought I'd be done playing it by now, but it's been kind of busy and RPGs are long. But yeah, Mother 3. I'm like literally in end game. I'm so close to reaching the final boss area and fighting Master Porky out. But man, what a weird ass game. I was opening item boxes that had farts come out of them. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
it
I'm sorry. I was that laugh was way too immature. My bad.
well, I was actually surprised. You think I would not be surprised by fart jokes, but I just really didn't know. And the sass and commentary that is in this game continues to surprise me and blow my mind. Like I I think quite frankly it's brilliant. And if you take a step back and look at kind of the theme of everything outside of the wackiness, I'm like, damn, it's actually got a good point to it where it talks about the destruction that technology can bring about, so to speak, the actual dangers of moving away from a simple life, a life connected to nature versus, you know, industrialization. Again, that's the serious theming, buried under just tons of immature fart jokes and other sassy shenanigans and really whacked out creatures. And it's it's been a wild ride. I really love it, um, a lot. So hopefully by next week, I will have beaten the game. I don't see why I wouldn't, and I'm kind of getting a little bit of anxiety actually trying to figure out what to play next after we had our conversation last show. I think it was the pre-show. or maybe not, I can't remember, of what
You
4
talking about Tales
games.
from the Backlog?
Yeah. Oh, no, that was the main show then, yeah.
That was the main show.
Yep.
So I was like, "Shit." And then Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is coming out in a few days. Kingdom Come Deliverance is gonna come out in a couple weeks. I'm like, "I'm effed." So, yeah, that's it.
It's too
But
much.
Mhm.
I wish there were more games like Mother 3. Now I understand why there's this, like, weird cult
Oh, I
following for
can
the Mother
introduce you
series.
to some. I
Okay.
can introduce you to some.
Sounds good.
Start off with Undertale.
Oh, Undertale. Yep, I do have it purchased on my PlayStation, so I'll have to download it.
Yep. Now that is a great one to start with. If you're looking for one of those Earthbound type. Also, Amori is a good one to look into.
Mhm. Okay.
Um,
Alright,
yeah,
perfect. Thank you.
I'll
So,
start you
yeah,
off with those two.
that's what I've been playing.
Reminds me, reminds me of that meme. The cost of gaming is too damn high.
Mhm.
Is it though?
I'll go next. I've only been playing one game this past week. It's Monster Hunter World Iceborne, of course, because like we're in the final run up before Monster Hunter Wilds releases in 45 days as the time of this recording. Like I'm so excited. I'm so happy. And of course, like 2 new betas coming out like the second and third weekends of February before the game releases on the 28th of February. I'm not gonna say a whole lot about it because like at this point, you guys already know what the hell Monster Hunter World, and Iceborne is. You already know, like you should already know damn well like who the final in game boss is and all this stuff because like I've been talking about it for like the last like the game's been holy shit the game's been out for 7 years.
Feeling old yet?
Huh?
Feeling old
No,
yet?
never. Oh my god, I was playing this game. I turned 50 this year. I was 43 years old when this game. Oh my god, I was so young.
Mhm.
I'm kidding. Pat, your turn.
All right. So I held off a game last week because I thought Corey was going to be back. But you know what? Corey
Mhm.
doesn't love us anymore. So I'm
You
just
know
going to
what?
talk about the game
Don't wait for
without
his
us.
ass.
Mhm. Yep. So the game I held back was Star Wars Outlaws. The Ubisoft Star Wars, it's not really open world. It's more like open zone, I would say. Granted, the zones are really huge, but there are I think there are 5 planets in this game, unless there's one that still hasn't showed up yet. Uh, and each one consists of like a nice large zone that's got all sorts of locations on it, and you can go and you can pick up missions and do your open world stuff that Ubisoft is known for. Uh, but the game is revol it's it's a very interesting take of a Star Wars game because it takes place on kind of the seedier side of the Star Wars universe. It's a lot more of the underworld, more grimier, I would say. Just the things you don't typically see, like the average city life that goes on in Star Wars. And I thought that was actually kind of cool. It almost reminds me of Andor in that way, where you see it more from the perspective of an individual living in the universe and someone that actually has like a superpower. Um, Granted, the person that you play as Kay Vest. She's kind of like a thief, I guess, just an up and coming thief, one who's trying to get out there into the world, but she doesn't really have much credibility in her name. So that's kind of what you're doing is well, she goes on a job. The job gets screwed up really bad, and so she's got a death mark on her, and so she needs to go on another job so that she can try to clear up the death mark and have people stop
Okay.
hunting her. She is joined by this really cute alien named Nyx, who's kind of like Axetal and a dog. And what I think is kind of cool about this game is that Nyx is utilized in so many ways. Like he's almost an appendage of K. You can use him to go and fetch items that are off in the distance. You can use him to distract guards. You can use him to attack guards. You can pet the Nyx. And, like there's Nyx also goes and steals things from people. Like there are a lot of and Nyx also is kind of your eagle eyes as well from like the Assassin's Creed games. He's got the vision to be able to see kind of like pinpoint where the people are and where like the treasures are. So Nyx has a lot of functionality in the game. There are other characters too. There's a battle droid that wears a trench coat, and he's kind of an asshole. And so that's kind of how you grow to like him is because of the fact that he's an asshole.
Wait,
And
is this like Alan Tudyk's character in Rogue One? Is it like
yeah,
is a droid like that one? Maybe
yeah,
not the same
it's a
class, but you know
battle.
what I mean.
I'm trying to remember what that. It's very close. It is a battle droid of
Mm-hmm.
some kind, but I think it's a different type of battle droid. Um, and so pretty much most of the game is you're trying to get a crew together to pull off this heist. Uh, but there are other factions in this game, and the whole time of the game is you're taking missions from these factions, and you're trying to keep your reputation with these factions in balance. Because usually, by doing a mission for one faction, you're going to piss off another faction because usually the mission is to do something against the other faction. So it's a lot of balancing because once a faction gets pissed off at you, they start hunting you down. Whereas if you get a good reputation with that faction, you can actually go into their faction territories without, having to sneak around for the most part. And you also get some cool little items as well, some cosmetic stuff, and better missions, more higher paying missions from those factions as well. So that's a lot of the game is taking on contracts for the factions and fulfilling them. There is a big, there's a lot of emphasis in stealth because K-Vess is a human. She is not some super powerful Jedi. She can't jump, and like fly or whatever. Like, so she has a blaster. Um, she can get abilities later on in the game, and it's actually kind of cool how you get these abilities. Uh, and able to get K stronger, you have to find people called experts. And once you do missions for them, you can then do, the experts will teach you things once you fulfill certain objectives, such as maybe you have to take on a few of a certain type of mission, or maybe you have to pickpocket so many people, or get your name out there in so many shops. And that teaches you then a skill that you can then use either in combat or, some other form or thing that, needs it. Such as one of the first skills you learn is called the fast talking ability, which allows you to kind of get caught by someone if you're like trespassing and walk up, with your hands in the air and, gives you kind of like a moment where then you can like grab your blaster and like shoot them you know, without them being any of the wiser. So, they're like abilities like that. So overall, I actually been really enjoying this game. It's not a bad game, and it's sad that it got the rep that it did. Because there's
I
a
think it's
lot
because
going for
it
it.
came out flawed out the gate. I think that's really what hurt it.
It came out flawed. Of course, you had the DEI people in the mansion scandal
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, the real actress is actually hotter than the one that she portrays in the game. What's with that? And then you also have Ubisoft fatigue.
Yeah.
But what's sad is that Ubisoft makes great games. It's just, people are tired of them for some reason. but the games are still very good. I don't know. It's like they're not bad quality. They look gorgeous. The soundtrack to this game is excellent. It sounds just like a John Williams score. Um, and like there's plenty to do in the game to keep you entertained. It's got one of those like things. Like I have a huge ass checklist of various missions that I can do. And I'm always like, okay, I'll just do one more, one more, one more. And then it's like midnight. And I'm like, okay, I really need to go to bed now because I started doing this at 8 o'clock. I don't
That's
know
the
how that
snare.
happens. Yep. So, you know what? I like it. I say like don't let the initial reviews like deter you from this game. I know it originally had a stealth where or the stealth missions were insta fail, and I think that they got rid of that in this recent version of the game. So you know it's definitely worth checking out. Um, so yeah, that was Star Wars Outlaws.
Nice.
I recently finished a narrative game called The Last Time I Saw You. It's kind of in the same boat as Space from the Unbound and Until Then, where it's like a 2D side scroller about a slice of life. A young boy who falls in love, but his first love happens to be a forest spirit um, who needs him to help, stop a major disaster from falling onto a small, sleepy town in Japan. Um, Overall, I was not impressed with the story of this game
Mhm.
because the two characters are actually very unlikable, in my opinion. Uh, but the side characters are actually really good. Um, and the thing that I really love about this game is the art in this game. It is a very beautiful, very colorful game that you also uses a lot of like solar flares and like light effects, light and like rain effects in this game. So I thought that was probably the strongest thing that it had going for it. Uh, but overall, the story, I thought my impression is that it just I could not care for the main characters that much, um, which was kind of sad. But you know, it was a platinum. Or it was a game that I platinumed, and you know, overall it was good, but not great. And finally, I've started playing, getting back into Unicorn Overlord, and
Nice.
yeah, that's a beautiful game. Beautiful game. It's got a good story going on with it. I've managed to finally beat the second area of the map. Like the map is broken down into 5 regions, and I finally managed to beat the second one and moved over now to a like elven forest. And you know it's been fun. Hopefully, I'll actually beat that and can cross it off my backlog here. It's one
I
of
have
those
faith
10
in you.
RPGs.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, that's mostly what I've been playing.
Nice.
Awesome. Awesome. Pat, I'll eventually say I'll play Unicorn Overlord. I mean, like of course, it's right up my alley. Tactical RPG. So like,
Mhm.
it's coming. It's coming. It's on my
Yeah,
ROG Ally. So like, if it's on my ROG Ally, that means I have intentions of playing it.
got a lot of characters and a lot of formations, and there's a lot of different ways I think you would have fun with that game.
Did you play Deofield Chronicle?
I did. I wasn't a fan.
You weren't a fan, okay? Because
No.
that's also on my ROG Ally, fully installed and everything. I don't know, but I think I'm going to stick to my guns though. Tales of Arise is on my backlog, and I'm going to play that one and get that one done.
Here, here.
You go.
Yep.
You do it,
All
dude.
right. Hmm?
You go, dude.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Speaking of thanks, I want to go ahead and just thank you very much for. Oh, thank you very much. Wow, that sounds so generic. Thank you so much for watching and or listening to this episode of the Boss Rush Podcast. This has been episode 258. Man, we should start thinking about what we're gonna do for episode 300.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Yeah,
I say we kick
as
Corey
always.
into a pit.
Huh?
We kick Corey in a pit while yelling Sparta.
This is Boss Rush.
Yeah, I like it. It has to be a new hashtag. This is Boss Rush.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Of course, as you know, this is the flagship podcast for the Boss Rush Network. You can catch new episodes every Thursday now. We've moved to Thursdays. As a matter of fact, let me update that here. Every Thursday on your podcast service of choice or on YouTube. You can get the show ad-free along with other perks like exclusive pre-show for as little as $1 over on our Patreon. Please make sure to check out our merch store and find all of our content over at bossrush.net. Pat, Stephanie, y'all been wonderful. I love you guys as always. I want to thank you for your time tonight because, you know, like without you, there's no show. I'm not going to get up here for like, you know, an hour and some change and like talk by myself about games. I don't know how people even like that. Maybe that's something I can experiment with. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's more fun talking games with other people.
Exactly. We're a bunch of nerds and geeks that just want to come talk about video games and the shit that we love and the shit that we hate. That's why we do this. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you guys out there. And please hit us up in our comments. Let us know about any of the stuff that we talked about here tonight because we want to hear from you. You guys matter. This is why we do it. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Deering, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.